So even we know we don't learn on Tisha B'Av, and at least things that are things that are Mesameach Halev, learning is Mesamchei Lev, brings a person to Simcha, brings him happy. So we don't learn. That's why we learn only certain things. We learn things which are said. The Gemara about the Churban, we learn the Eicha, you can learn Eiv, different parts of Yirmiyah, and other nevuos which are about the Churban that you can learn. Hilchas Avelos you can learn. This applies to Tisha B'Av itself. So Erev Tisha B'Av also the Rabbi brings down no good not to learn. So he brings down from Chatzos and on. From Chatzos and on, the minhag was not to learn. So before Chatzos you can learn. After Chatzos, Erev Tisha B'Av not. So the Mishnah Berurah brings down already that term is Samchas Lev, M'kom calls any Medina, because on Erev Tisha B'Av we didn't start the Chamesh Sinuyim. Mikra Adin, there's no Tisha B'Av. It's just that we're getting closer. We're getting closer to the day, so we start doing some Dinei Avelis. That's why we stop learning. But Mikra Adin, Avada, you're allowed to learn. So he says, Mahar B'Achronim Mashma, that they did this minhag not to learn. But even if it's Chals on Shabbos, it's a Shaila. Even if it Chals on Shabbos, even if it's Erev Tisha B'Av is Shabbos, still they didn't learn. Even though Erev Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos, there was no Dinei Avelis from Chatzos and on. Not until you could do everything. You can even have a Sudas Shomer Melech B'Shaitzei B'Shal Shut.
You talking about Motzei Shabbos?
If let's say Tisha B'Av would be Motzei Shabbos, and Erev Tisha B'Av would have been Shabbos, so they still didn't learn on Erev Shabbos, even though on Shabbos. They didn't learn on Shabbos, which is Erev Tisha B'Av, even though Erev Tisha B'Av that's on Shabbos has no Dinei Avelis.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Tisha B'Av can't fall on Shabbos; it gets pushed off.
So it falls on Motzei Shabbos, it falls on Sunday.
You're talking about
so Erev Tisha B'Av is Shabbos.
Erev Tisha B'Av starts just after Shabbos ends.
No,
right.
Tisha B'Av
starts after Shabbos ends. So it comes out that Shabbos is Tisha B'Av. Shabbos is Erev Tisha B'Av.
Okay.
So they still didn't learn, even though all other Dinei Avelis we didn't do. We don't do. Like it was last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember. That Erev Tisha B'Av was Shabbos, and you do regular day. You carry it as a regular day. You could eat all meat, everything until time's up. So, but learning they didn't do. Mishnah Berurah brings down. Obnam says, we'll come back to this. Yesh Achronim shepikbuku mo'ed al minegas rishon. Harashal Kosev, the Marshal, the great Marshal, he learned himself after Chatzos, and he told other people to learn. The Goyin said it's a Chum Yiseva. Imam Mordechai, and many yeshivas today are like to learn Erev Tisha B'Av after Chatzos, because what happens is, if a person doesn't learn, he ends up, he has to find the sad things to learn, and this and that, he ends up not learning, not doing anything, and doing other things which are worse. Depends what the other choice is. So therefore many yeshivas were noyeg like the Marshal, and they learned Erev Tisha B'Av. What's this pshat that what's this issue to learn Erev Tisha B'Av after Chatzos? Seems to be a shaila. Is it because of the Avelis that's coming, or the Chasam Sofer had a novel approach? The Chasam Sofer's approach was that if a person gets involved in learning after Chatzos on Tisha B'Av, his mind will still be occupied with the sugis that he learned on Tisha B'Av itself. And therefore, in order to sort of stop that, that's why they stopped learning from Chatzos and on. And according to the Chasam Sofer, it's understood why on Shabbos also, when Erev Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos, they didn't learn after Chatzos, because even though all Dinei Avelis didn't apply, but they'll come out, you're learning on Tisha B'Av, your mind will be involved in learning on Tisha B'Av, that's why they start from Chatzos. So the Chasam Sofer is a reason. But there are other Chachamim seem to go with it. So Allah L'maisa, if someone wants to be Mekel, he can learn, especially if the other choices, doing things which are even more or less, Tisha B'Av dik. So therefore, it's the better option on Erev Tisha B'Av.
So there are people who are knowing to learn even past Chatzos.
Yeah.
Even past Chatzos.
Marshal himself learned after Chatzos until Tisha B'Av. Good, so it's no difference to a person. You can learn, when did the person have a chance to learn Hilchas Avelis? Someone told me that he had a Scheiner in Hilchos Avelos. He called up a certain Talmud Chacham in Lakewood. He was a young person still. And he asked him, he started telling him the Shach. The son says, when did he learn? He says, what do you mean, when did I learn it? I learned it on Tisha B'Av. So there's what to learn, but sometimes it's hard. It's easier to learn what you're already learning before, what you say it was used to. So one could be mekel and be learned Erev Tisha B'Av. We mentioned the Maril says that one shouldn't go on a tiyul. We shouldn't walk. We shouldn't go on, or even exercising for pleasure. I'm talking about someone who needs for his health. Healthy could do it, but exercising for pleasure, these things shouldn't do Erev Tisha B'Av, and he learns it out from learning. A person shouldn't learn. You shouldn't stam go, hiking Erev Tisha B'Av. So it would seem from the way he's learning it out that would apply Erev Tisha B'Av after Chatzos. Before Chatzos it would be mutter. The Pri Megadim, the Sarachini says it's mashma, the halacha, the way it's brought down is mashma even the whole day. The whole Erev Tisha B'Av is asur. But the Ramah says v'chein lo yitayil Erev Tisha B'Av. You shouldn't go yitayil Erev Tisha B'Av. It doesn't say when. It's mashma the whole day. The Pri Megadim says, but nonetheless, the Ikar Mekor is from Talmud Torah, which is only after Chatzos. Birkei Yosef is also mashma like that. It's only after Chatzos. So therefore, it seems that one could be mekel before Chatzos. After Chatzos, one shouldn't do exercises which are for relaxation and others. For health, someone could. Interesting enough, the issue of learning on Tisha B'Av itself, you could clear Hakira. Someone told me, Tisha B'Av, this is lucky day. It's one day where it's finally potter from Talmud Torah. It's hard time fulfilling it all year. So Yesh Lachka, is that true? Is he potter? Is he potter from Talmud Torah on Tisha B'Av? Or is it pshat that he's chayiv in Talmud Torah, just he can't learn things that are misameach, so he has to learn things that are misameach. In other words, a person could say, listen, I'm potter from learning today, I'm not learning today, finish. Or pshat is that he has a chiyuv to learn. Just he has a chiyuv to learn the things that are not happy. What's the shaila? The shaila is the isser. Is the pshat is better to be as a chiyuv every day he has a chiyuv to learn. Just he can't learn things which are misamechem. So things which are misamechem he can't learn. So there's you have a tug of war over here. Good. So the answer is learn something which is a little drier. Learn something which is sad. But or the pshat is he's an ovel. And the Avel is potter from Talmud Torah because it's something which is Musamechem. So Chakira. So we're not sure what the nafkamina is. He brings down here in the Piskei Teshuvos. He brings down brings so the Adbol Milababich Chelik Beis so the Reish Lamed that you're chayiv to learn Talmud Torah. The Avad is a chayiv limud, just to learn what's the gay for that day. But the Aruch HaShulchan says very clearly, Aruch HaShulchan holds a davar poshet that it's also for Abel to learn even Shar Chachmas is also for him to learn. It doesn't help if you're not going to learn Torah and can take out some nice geschmack, science. I don't know what person's into other Chachmas and learn it up is also. Kolshchen liquid b'kisvei itim. Or based on to start reading the newspaper, get involved in politics. It's better to learn. But the issue is an avelus. A person shouldn't get his mind off the avelus. He should So any learning, he says, is awesome. There's an issue to learn.
Does anybody discuss learning topics which, how do I put this, that would deal directly with the Chatoim that brought about the Churban, like a Tikkun?
Yeah. Okay, hang on a little bit.
We're not an oval on Tisha.
So Avelos Scheiner, but that's.
We're not an oval. It didn't happen then. Say if there's that day, the whole year you're Avelos for it. That day doesn't change our status.
Yeah. But he learns that it's a din Avelos. We have a din Avelos on Tisha B'Av. So part of the din Avelos is that that you don't do things for some sameach, so it's usher. Brings for Chazon Ish used to look in Tisha B'Av in the Seder HaDoros, B'Shem Agdol Ma'achida, the quasi learning svarim. Seder HaDoros, B'Shem Agdolim, about the Film Chacham. He says that he didn't spend so much time on it, but just a little bit. But so that's the Shaila. Shas what you want to know about Sifrei Musar, different Sifrei Musar and things. And Meiri says on Meiri brings down that one can look at Sifrei Musar and these kind of things to be masaking himself to work on his midas and different things. That one's allowed to do on Tisha B'Av. It brings that for Ovel. Ovel's allowed to do that. Ovel's allowed to learn Divrei Musar. There's a Shaila about saying Tehillim. There's a Shaila about saying Tehillim. Is a person allowed to say Tehillim on Tisha B'Av? Is that like learning? A Shaila person could do that. Some people have different minhagim. Some people have a minhag after Chatzos to say Tehillim. Brings down from the Zera Emes to those who say after Chatzos holds Mikra Din, you're allowed to say Tehillim just before Chatzos. The Toikaf Avelis, we say Kinnis, we get involved. We don't do other things. So they don't. So you say Tehillim after Chatzos. Others hold you can't say Tehillim at all. Tehillim is part of learning. You can't say Tehillim. But also for Tefillah, we don't start davening for other things on Tisha B'Av before Chatzos. After Chatzos, you could. For Chayla you could say Tehillim, but stop to say your daily Tehillim is a Shaila. But again, you have to take things into account. If the person's to be Yoshev a bottle and is going to do other things which aren't, it's always what's the con side? What's the other side? It's better you should say Tehillim than you should. It's different days, especially the Noshim. What are they going to do? They're not going to learn Hilchas Avelis. They're not going to learn Eiv. So let them say Tehillim. It's better than sitting in Yoshev bottle the whole day, not doing anything.
So Musa and Tehillim are okay on Tisha B'Av.
So Musa is okay. Tehillim is a Shiloh if it's okay. But again, if it's better than what the other choices are, it's better.
So what would be some Musa Sfarim you could look at?
Any Musa Sfarim, which anything, you could look at the stories about the Churban, anything which if you read about the time of the Churban and you see what was going on then.
So if you could see something in a Gemara as well.
There's Gemaras about it and Gittin about the Churban, and then there's any more. A person could learn Musa. A person could work on himself. It's a good time for introspection. A person should. So that's about learning. There's Issa Malacha on Tisha B'Av too. There's Issa Malacha of going to work. It's actually Bachloikis. It's a Makom Shenogu. It's a Makom Shenogu. Halacha is a Makom Shenogu to do Malacha on Tisha B'Av. You could do. Makom Shenogu Shaloi Lasos. You're not allowed to. If at the place of minig is, let me just find here. Makom Shenogu Lasos Malacha B'Tes B'Avoisim. A Makom which is the minig is that you do Malacha on Tisha B'Av. You're allowed to do Makom Shenogu Shaloi Lasos Ein Oisim. Now this is one of the places we say, but Kol Makom Talmud Chacham is bottle, and whoever wants to make himself like a Talmud Chacham is allowed to. It's not Yura. We mentioned Shabbos. Now's the time to a person's. He said over the Gemara. Gemara says that I forget who chose which Gemara it was. That was he walked around with black shoes during the year. Alzavelis. So we always wear black shoes, but they wore it as Alzavelis. So they took him and they stuck him in prison. Who do you think you are? You could be Masabel Yerushalayim. But that's only all year. A person can't make himself me. I could be Masabel. You think you're chashuv enough to understand, to really appreciate the loss, to be Masabel. But on these days, it's a chiyuv for us to be Masabel. So a person is allowed to make himself a Talmud Chacham. A person is allowed to make himself L'fnei Mishur Sadin. He's allowed to go extra mile. So even a Makom Shenogu to do Malacha, a person's allowed to make himself like a Talmud Chacham and be Mevatel for Malacha. L'maisa, what is today's a Makom Shenogu? Not to be a Lachal is that today's a Makom Shenogu Shaloi Lasis Malacha. It's as if today is a place where we don't do Malacha on Tisha B'Av. I don't know if that's true here. I don't know what's called Makar Shenogum, but the prevailing minhag is that if it's possible, a person shouldn't should not do malacha. Malacha means any work, any physical work that takes away from the avelus, takes away from the mind on the churban. So any schlepping or things like that, a person should avoid doing. Business, anyways, a person should. Halacha is even if it's mutter to do, you don't see simon bracha from it. So, but then again, if a person's davar ovid is mutter, so if a guy has a shai who's going to lose his job, if a person's allowed to go to work, it's a davar ovid. But a person shouldn't forget that it's Tisha B'Av, so he should take a kinnis or something along with him, and ben gavel gavri every 10, 15, every 20 minutes he should read a little bit and then go back. So this way, the ikar din is he shouldn't take his mind off the avelus. So even if a person is muchach, he has to go to work, he doesn't have a choice, but he has a choice how to handle himself in work. So he could take something with him, some books about the churban, and every little bit, we'll get on the computer so the boss doesn't see, and every little bit get recharged. This way your mind doesn't get off the churban. Things which you could do idei akum, if you could boss other people around, tell them to do the work, a guy, so that's preferable. Idei akum is mutter. That's preferable rather than you doing the physical work yourself. Whatever you can get away with, you get away with. Whatever you can't, you can't. But a person that doesn't have to go to work should spend at least till chatzos. A person that could push it off till after chatzos is preferable. The ikar is before chatzos. A person that could push it off till after chatzos is preferable. If not. But that's the concept. Is you shouldn't forget that it's Tisha B'Av, and you should take something with you to. Getting back to erev Tisha B'Av, the Suda Mafseket.
What do you do with employees that are, they're Yidden, but they're not generally observant? You could give them off, but they're not going to do anything with it anyway. It's not like it's going to.
You have to give them off.
Yeah.
Could be not. Could be not.
If a person
give them reading material.
If a person's required to go to work in order to avoid losing his job, but he's not supposed to have bracha from the results of it.
He's not going to have a bracha from the results, but he doesn't have to have a loss either.
Should he have in mind to do something with whatever the earnings are of that day?
Oh, you want to know if he gives it stock?
Tzedakah or something like that? Or there's no issue there?
Yes, I don't know. He doesn't have to take a loss. He's not required to take a loss.
Need more than one day for that.
If you hear that, you're not required to take a loss.
Required to take a loss, but they always have the shilas. People, from the Holocaust, they get money from people. Get money from the from the Germans. Those are shilas. Do they use it, or do they give it out to other things? They get money from Tisha B'Av. So if you get from the Holocaust, you should use it. Should to use it. Can't take their money and use it. Okay, so going back to Erev Tisha B'Av, we have Sudas HaMafsekes. Sudas HaMafsekes. So the halacha is that the Sudas HaMafsekes itself, we're only allowed to eat one tavshil. We're not allowed to have two tavshilim. We can only have one cooked food. The minhag is just to have a piece of bread. Just have a piece of bread and a cup of water, and to have eggs. But because the egg is the one cooked food, so minhag is like avelos, some people have lentils, but the minhag is to have eggs, minhag, and to have a piece of bread. Now the reason is because you don't have two tavshilim. Bread is not considered a tavshil, but any other forms is considered a tavshil. So a person wouldn't have a soup and an egg. That's two tavshilim. Really gets to have hard-boiled eggs, actually. But a person shouldn't have two tavshilim. If a person can't eat bread and one needs to have something on it, the person can say, to talk about having butter on the bread. Butter is not considered a tavshil, maybe, but so maybe you could put some butter or margarine on. But it's preferably just to have the plain bread. It's for this reason that we have two meals. The minhag is to have 2 meals, because if you could only have one tavshil, you'll be quite hungry before by the time Tisha B'Av comes around. So therefore, the minhag is to have one Suda earlier, which a person eats to make himself, should be able to fast, and then make a hefsek. You have to make a break, and then you have another Suda, which is a Suda Mafsekas. So the minhag is, like the Ramah says, is to go to daven mincha in between. That's why we do. We daven mincha. We go to daven mincha, and then we go to mincha, and then we come back and have the Suda Mafsekas. But you don't have to go to mincha, but you should have a break. The noshim which don't go to mincha, they should also make a break, because you have a shayla of a bracha. You make a bracha on the first Suda, and then you bench, and then you wash again and have a second Suda. It's good into shaylas with brachas here. So there should be a hefsek in between, and then you can have the second Suda. Now the second Suda, one should eat bread, because otherwise that's not a real Suda. It becomes out the real Suda is the first Suda. The Suda before the fast is called the Suda Mafsekas, and if the first Suda is the real Suda, came out you ate a few tavshilin in the first Suda. So therefore,
but the Suda Mafsekas, you have to eat pretty late, right? It's like just mamish.
It's the last Suda. It's the last Suda.
Between mincha and return to
between
shul.
mincha and shkia, or like
No,
what's
before
the ideal
shkia.
time to have
Before
sex?
shkia, yeah.
Well, obviously, I meant like before, but you finish like not long before the fast starts, no?
Right. Yeah, as long as, you can finish early if you want, but it should be the last Suda before the times.
Last Suda.
You want to know how late you
Still, you don't drink after.
Suda.
Well, you know how late, because you know what time the fast starts. So the idea though is that you should have that pretty close to.
Yeah.
That's
So
why I usually-
what's the latest you can have a Suda?
But
What's the latest you can have a Suda Samach?
you gotta finish before shkia.
Before
You
shkia.
have to finish eating before shkia, enough time to say your mouth, make sure you're done. Once
Eating
shkia
and
starts, the tightness begins. Yeah. So actually, Mechaber says that dry bread, stale bread. But the minhag is, eat bread. Oh, not so mafuric. So minhag is also to put ashes on the bread. The bread of something to make ashes. So minhag put ashes on, and
It's easy for me. I'm cooking for myself.
He does it all the time.
and the minhag is, the Shlomo says, the person will say, this is the Suda Tisha B'Av, this is a Suda of Tisha B'Av. But this is all Zeichel Churban, and for drinking also, a person shouldn't drink water, he shouldn't drink other things. A person needs a tea or a hot coffee, you can have a tea and a hot coffee, that's not called a tavshil. But a person shouldn't have should have other drinks. A person should eat in the first Suda. In the last Suda, that should be just bread, water, very dry, very simple. And that's the Suda Samafsekas. A person should sit on the floor. A person should sit on the floor for the Suda Samafsekas. Even though he doesn't have to take off his shoes. It's not yet Tisha B'Av, he doesn't have to take off his shoes. But the Suda would like to sit on the floor. No Galesha Magabi Karka. And a person that can't sit on the floor, he could sit on something low, like on Tisha B'Av. If you could, it's preferable to sit on the floor for the Suda Samafsekas, but if you can't, you can sit on something low. If you can't even get on something low, you should at least move his seat somewhere else, not to sit in his regular place on the table. He should move to a different corner of the room, which is seat. To put his seat in a different part of the room, he shouldn't sit in his regular place.
This is what I was going to ask. With the seat, what's the operating factor here? Comfort, or like a lot of times I just have problems sitting sometimes on certain things that I get very uncomfortable. So I don't mind sitting low, but if sometimes you sit on some of these things, it's like
You can put pillows on.
so it's okay to be comfortable as long as you're not high.
Sit low down, like
the idea is not have to be uncomfortable. In other words,
it's good to be uncomfortable, but it's also good to daven. So if you're too uncomfortable, you can't daven. It's usually defeats the purpose. So you can put something on the floor that's he's weak, you can put a pillow underneath. We're all weak today. You can put pillows underneath. But, So that's the Suda Mafsekes. After the Suda Mafsekes, the Tainus doesn't necessarily begin. A person should preferably say, I'm not being Makabal the Tainus before he benches, but if he doesn't, it's still okay. He wasn't Makabal the Tainus. Today most people aren't Makabal the Tainus right after the Suda Mafsekes. They still take a drink afterwards. So one could eat or drink afterwards too, if necessary.
After you bench?
After you bench, as long as you weren't Makabal the Tainus yet, if it's still time, come to shul and you need a drink, a person could drink.
Before Shkia.
Before Shkia.
8:35, I think, this year.
Not sure. It makes sense. What time was the lift benching?
Which was it? 8:18. Yeah.
So before Shkia, one could drink. There is a Shaila. You could eat also. You could go eat again. You can't make a Suda. Then that'll become your Suda Samafsekes. Yeah, but if you take a bite, you could take something to eat. The question is, if a person's drinking, it's a Shaila in the Paiskim, on water you don't make a Shahakal unless you're drinking with summer, if you're thirsty. Some people drink before the Tainus. They're very not thirsty, but they're very worried that come the day they're going to be so thirsty. I don't know if it clinically helps. Doctor
Actually does.
If it helps, maybe it helps to eat grapes or things like that.
You can hydrate your cells more. It does work. They use it for running, for athletes who are doing whatever.
Before.
If you're past, you're not thirsty anymore. You're just loaded.
Doesn't matter.
One more glass. That one more glass is actually going to help them.
Yeah, hydrates the cells.
Really?
Yeah. You overhydrate the cells.
My family had a minig that before a Tainus, they take 9 shlugs of water.
9 shlugs of water, some say 7. There's different minhagim brought down.
But I think it was just like the.
No. There's such a minhag brought down. It's supposed to make you not thirsty during the fast.
Yeah.
But so there's a big shaila if you can make a bracha on it, because you're not drinking because you're thirsty. You're drinking so you shouldn't be thirsty tomorrow. You're not drinking. You're drinking because there's a minhag. A minhag to drink 9 drinks. What?
I remember taking 9 shlugs and right across from the mezuzah or something.
But what's the
Now you're lighting them out.
I mean, you're still getting hana, even if it's not right now.
Because the water doesn't taste like anything. The whole hana from water is because I'm thirsty, I drink. That's the hana. Hashoisel etzama makes a bracha. If you don't drink etzama, he brings down here very interesting.
Yeah, Yom Kippur as well.
Green Kippur had the worst chicken, or boiled chicken. I think
Yeah, he brings out from Little Gavril your minhag of 9 drinks. Take 9 swallows to school.
Yeah.
So
It's not 9 glasses, it's 9 swallows.
No, 9 swallows. It's 9 shlugs.
Swallows.
It's 9.
You need one go.
they bring down from the Chavetz Chaim that the Chavetz Chaim was noyig not to make a bracha on water, because he was always choshish that maybe he's not thirsty, maybe he is thirsty, it's a suffix bracha, so we'd always make a bracha on something else first. You take a candy, you take this, a different shackle, you make a bracha on that. Bison Mishaburi Paskins, you could make a bracha. You can make a bracha on water stam. But this question over here, where you're not drinking water stam, you're drinking because he's thirsty. If he's a little thirsty, there's no problem. He's still a little thirsty. He thinks he might be thirsty, So he's drinking for thirst. You can make a bracha. If not, maybe you should make a bracha on something else.
It's like if somebody takes a pill, they're not thirsty, they wouldn't make a bracha on that.
Right. If a person drinks water to drink a pill, so if he's drinking a pill down, so if you make a bracha on it, if he drinks some water first, he's a little thirsty, so he drinks some water first, and then he takes the pill, he can make a bracha on the water. But if he's just drinking it for the pill, it's not pasha to make a bracha. Yeah. You don't make a bracha, you're just doing it to wash down the pill, you're not doing it to drink. The pill you don't make a bracha on. So that's the Suda Mafsekes.
You do it before.
The question is what's called Tu Tavshilin. Look at Bialach, he discusses what's called Tu Tavshilin.
No, actually, after benching.
If let's say you have a Lakshan and Tepuchi Adama. Well, let's say today you would have Lakshan and cheese, Lakshan and cheese. Is that called Tu Tavshilin or one? So Mishabu is mustapik. If something is given for a taste on something else is not called Tu Tavshilin. Or if it's or any 2 things which are cooked together is called one tavshil, or soup which is a derech to cook together is called one tavshil. It's a question, But anyways, the minhag is just to have an egg, and you get by with that. Going to Tisha B'Av itself, so one can wear shoes until Shkia, or until Baruchu, whichever is first. If Daven Marav first, the minhag is take off shoes before Marav. Usually we Daven Marav after Shkia, so I'll take off the shoes by Shkia. The Isser, you have to do the 5 Yinuyim. So person doesn't eat, he doesn't drink, he doesn't wash. Washing is the Isser on Tisha B'Av, even though we don't really wash all week because of Avelis. But on Tisha B'Av is extra chumrous because of Avelis and because of for the Yinuyim we do. The person doesn't wash. So even if during the week he's a little dirty, he's a little sweaty, you can wash to get off the sweat. But on Tisha B'Av, unless it's really for dirt, real dirt, we try to avoid washing. And if there is some dirt, you just wash that spot that has the dirt on it. Preferably without soap. If a person needs soap, then he could get off the dirt. Soap is a shaila of sicha. This is issur besides for drinking, the issur of sicha. A person can't smear on him, let's say Vaseline is sicha, or Hashem to put oil on that sicha, unless he has pain, he has something chapped which is hurting him, then he's allowed to put it on. You're allowed to put on for pain, but you're not allowed to put on, or you're allowed to put on for medicine reasons. If a person has a rash, he could smear something on for medicine, that you could do. But for tainug, sicha shel tainug, Wahaver Azuma is allowed to also, like I was saying, to get rid of dirt. A person wants to put on deodorant, to put it on before, there's a question. But once he starts getting dirt and you want to remove the dirt to get away the smell, a person is allowed to put on sicha to Wahaver Zuma is mutter. But sicha, to get rid of the zuma, the shmutz, that's mutter. But sicha, for tainug, that's awesome. So a person can't put on just to smell good, he can't put on. But if he puts it on, once he starts schwitzing already, he can put on. But washing is also also. The question is washing for mitzvah. Washing for mitzvah, you wash your hands. So a person can wash his hands in the morning, he can wash his hands. A person's a chayli, he's eating bread, he can wash his hands. Any washing for mitzvah, a person wants to daven mincha. The Mishnah Berurah says he can wash his hands on Yom Kippur. The Mishnah Berurah is not so makel. Washing your hands as a shaila, you can wash your hands in Yom Kippur for mincha. But in Tisha B'Av, he's makel that a person can wash his hands for davening. That's called mincha. What? Oh, so right. So we know that since the whole Natilas Yadayim is a machloikis, where you have to add a perak, because the perak mean until here to knuckles, but does a perak mean until here? So all year we go l'chumrah, we wash until here. But on Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur, being that it's machlokes, ikar adin at a perak means until the knuckles, so that's where we wash until. A person doesn't have to sit and make sure he only gets till the knuckles. He could generally to the knuckles. If it goes a little over, that's fine. But we wash until the knuckles. Person goes to the Beis HaKvaris. Person goes to the Beis HaKvaris. There's a minhag Tisha B'Av to go to the Beis HaKvaris, so then he could wash his hands afterwards. It's a shaila, but I think the item is naik to wash the hands afterwards.
People go to the Beis HaKvaris.
Somebody goes to the Beis HaKvaris, makes you sad. It's supposed to make you sad.
So not just to go to any particular cave, but just to go to the Beis HaKvaris?
Just go to the Beis HaKvaris, yeah. It's preferable a person stays away, Daled Amos away. He doesn't have to walk all the way up to a kever. He can stay Daled Amos away, then he won't have to wash his hands. But if he does, he could wash his hands.
Is this Erev or on Tisha B'Av?
Washing on Tisha B'Av itself. On Tisha B'Av itself. Washing on Tisha B'Av, even though you're allowed to wash, still a person should make sure that he's washing for. Should understand that he's washing for mitzvah, not for tainug, not to have any pleasure from it.
What about brushing the teeth?
Person should not brush his teeth. He should with water. He can do it without water. If a person really feels uncomfortable, he could put just a little bit of mouthwash in his mouth, a little face down. Shouldn't face up, so it doesn't get it back. Face down, rinse it, and spit it out. He feels uncomfortable. If he doesn't feel uncomfortable, he could take a dryish toothbrush. You're not going to have a drop of water, but dryish toothbrush. You're not going to drink any of the water, and they could thing. But to put food in the mouth, the person has it should work. If he has a little mouthwash, that should take away the uncomfortableness.
It's not called rechitza.
What?
Rechitza, it's not called rechitza.
Well, rechitza is more to take away dirt. The question is only for drinking it. Even though it's pachas b'kashir, but we're not to eat pachas b'kashir. Then a person shouldn't eat that. Shoes, nilas a sandal. So nilas a sandal, a person, we don't wear leather. We don't wear leather. And Mishabur says shoes that are not of leather you're allowed to wear. It's interesting because on Yom Kippur there's a machlokes brought down. It's a big machlokes with Scheiner if the issue is to wear leather shoes or the issue is to wear shoes. Especially today. Today, most shoes are not made out of leather. I mean, in those days, most shoes were made out of leather, but you can make a shoe that's not made out of leather. But today, you can get very comfortable shoes, sneakers, other shoes that are not made out of leather. So, the Mishabur is out of machlokes. If the ikad, this is Nilas Hassan, is not to wear any shoes or not to wear leather shoes. And on Yom Kippur, there's a shaila brought down. I could put him on Tisha B'Av, he doesn't bring down. But he says it's not as chomer as Yom Kippur, so he goes to Kula, and he says you could wear other shoes, and that's the Hailam is noyig to wear sneakers and other things on Tisha B'Av. On Yom Kippur, there are those that are takamachmer to wear only things which are not as comfortable, things which have thin bottoms, like slippers, or some sneakers are not made so great, they're made very flat in the bottom. But sometimes Moshe Steinbach holds that today even Tisha B'Av you can't wear sneakers because it's regular shoes. Nobody knows it's regular. Part of I think the minig is the huckle that a person can wear sneakers, especially on Tisha B'Av. The interesting shaila is a lot of sneakers have like leather patches on them, even though they're not made be'ikr of leather, but they have some patches of them that are of leather. So it brings down from a Moshe. Moshe was matir if it has patches of leather l'yofi, l'noy. It's look nice as a patch of leather. That's not called a leather shoe, and it was matir to wear that. Most sneakers I think that have leather on it is more l'chizuk, is to make it stronger. So he brings down from the Birchei Yosef that's masha, that's also mutter. As long as the shoe itself is not made out of leather, it's just had leather parts on it, would also be mutter. But Maisa, the Olam is noig not to wear sneakers that have any leather on it, but for children, for kids, which anyways, kids don't have to wear, don't have to take off the shoes. Mikra Adin, children are allowed to wear, if they're not age of chinuch yet, they don't understand Churban, they're not 7 years old, there's no then that they can't wear Mikra Adin, they could wear leather shoes. So for sure, even though we're noyig, the minig today is we're mechanech the children even younger. For shoes, we put on slippers, we put on sneakers, we don't put on leather shoes. That's the prevalent minig. But after it became since Me'ikr Hadin, they're allowed to wear leather shoes. They definitely you could put on the chatchila, even though we're noyig that to be mechanech them younger, but you could put on sneakers that have some leather patches on it. You don't have to go crazy, figure out if it's leather, if it's not leather.
So if you know that it's kind of a leather look, but you check with the manufacturer, they say no, it's not leather, you can wear those?
So that's a good shaila. Is there a problem with marasayin? Is there a problem with marasayin? You have the sneaker, it looks leather, and you happen to know it's not leather. So this brought down such a halacha that it brings from Scheiner and Nobach that it's also to wear these sneakers that look like leather. It's shver today if there's such an issue, because most people know today that most sneakers, especially the cheaper and sneakers, are not leather. So people know it's not leather. They don't choshen you from wearing leather shoes. Even shoes that look like leather today aren't leather. Koshchei sneakers. So it's shver to say that there's an issue today for marasayin. But if you think it really looks like a geschmack of leather shoe, maybe you don't need any comments. Maybe it's better not to wear that.
Crocs.
Right.
Okay, so that's with the shoes. So Mikra Adin for children is mutter. The minig is to takanat put on the shoes, but things that are quasi anyways is for sure not such an issue. As far as fasting goes, so Yom Kippur is a little more chamer. It's very late. We'll just end with this. even though the halacha is that any chayla, even though Tisha B'Av is Muhammad and other Tanesim, and we don't give a heter straight blank to not to fast, but the halacha Mikra Adin is a chayla she'ein by sakana. A chayla she'ein by sakana is potter from the tainus. Makam chayli like gazru. But when noig, Rama says miu noigim lesanis calls man she'ein lam tzar. This goes even on a chai, even though someone who gave birth, kol lamed yom, someone who gave birth within 30 days, within 7 days, not a lot of fast, she doesn't fast, but within 30 days, she has a din of a chayla, and she doesn't have to fast. But Ramah says we're noig to fast, as long as they don't have pain. But today we're a little makel on that. Person should ask the local Rav what to do, because we're weak. The briskers didn't fast. I remember by Rav David, we used to build a sukkah for him on Sun Gedalia, and then he would invite everybody in for breakfast. Briskers held that today we're all chaylim, a person shouldn't fast. But sort of different Moira Hiras, different Hanhagas, how to go about the Shiloh, when to fast, when not to fast. The person should ask his local Rav in every situation about fasting. A child, also, even though the minhag was the last 3 Tanesim before he became Bar Mitzvah, they used to fast. But today also, it could be a chashash sakana. Child, you have to be careful allowing a child to fast, and different manhagim. But Mikra Adin, one is not mechuyev to fast until he's a gadol. We're careful about fasting. We don't know if there's no mitzvah to be over machmir today, especially if anyone has some condition or anything like that. He should definitely ask a shayla. A person shouldn't be machmir on himself without knowing the proper halacha. That it should be mahapich, yogan, l'sasim, simcha. Even this year, we should still be Yerushalayim.
Amen.